So here we are. We're back. It's another week. We're back here recording Flip It Off once again. It's the fifth time doing this, and we said we were going to get a guest on soon, and yeah, we weren't kidding. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey guys, I'm Kyle. I've known Cameron and Hunter for a while now, and I have the same passion as they do for baseball. So yeah, it's just gonna be a couple of guys talking baseball, and yeah.
Newest member of the Cardinals of the NMBL. We're
Let's
looking
go.
forward to a great season, and you've got your own show. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, I've been doing a podcast called Leafs Talk Forever with a couple of guys that I knew from college. Well, a guy and his brother, Spencer and Scott. Yeah, we've been running a podcast for about a year and a half now, through the Hockey Podcast Network, Leafs Talk Forever. You guys want to check that out?
100%.
I'm not there every single week, just because of timing and sometimes stuff interferes. But yeah, I try and make it out to that podcast as much as I can, and yeah, it's the same as what you guys do here, just with the
Love to
Leafs.
hear it. Yeah, and you know what? Yeah, everyone listening to this, check that out. You know what? The playoffs are starting soon, so we'll get into a little bit more Leafs talk soon. I know they just clinched home ice advantage against the Lightning, so that's completely set in stone now. Nothing is playing the Lightning at home in the first round. Nothing's going to change, right? That's already the rest of the season doesn't even matter at this point. But yeah, no, we've had a good week with the Blue Jays, though. Ups and downs. My God, since last time we recorded this, I know it was Saturday, just after the opening game of the season. But yeah, what a crazy week it's been, huh?
Yeah, like you wouldn't expect them to lose a couple games and then get right back into the win column, but it's good they're in the win column for sure.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit concerned after that first game in Kansas City. I was like, okay, this really can't continue. Like, I know it's early. Sometimes they say once the warm weather heats up, the bats heat up. I was like, okay, like maybe we'll stick with that. But yeah,
Mhm.
after that first game in Kansas City, they really turned it around.
Yeah,
I'm still
especially the
hoping
especially
some,
the pitching, right? Like Manoah in that first game, they got the win, but he really didn't pitch well. I don't know. You have to wonder maybe how he handles pressure, considering his start in the playoffs last year and then opening day starter this year. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's a little hard. Maybe pressure is more than just something you put in your tires.
Yeah, but you gotta look at Jose Barrios too, right? Like
Yeah,
he had a
well,
rough first start of the season as
Gosman
well.
has the best outing to start, even
Yeah.
though they actually lose that game. You know, it was Chapman's error; his runs weren't earned. But then, yeah, Barrios. I mean, I was wrong when I thought he was going to go 7 innings and perfect game through six and all that. But I'm still not too worried about Barrios. I'm on his bandwagon. Maybe you heard it here first. He's gonna let's say 3.50 ERA this year, 15 wins. That would be solid, huh?
Yeah, like he's got to have a better outing last season, and
Yep.
especially after they signed him to a huge
And
summer deal, right?
he pitched okay at times in that game, but it was like last year. It's just like when he starts to get a little bit off, it goes downhill real quick for him. So
Yeah, a lot of pressure too.
first inning was rough. He had a couple good innings, and then the fourth, I think it was, he got into some trouble again, and it blew up on him. It got away from him, but either way, good to see him still get six out of that.
Yeah,
And then Bassett had a rough first outing with
that
the Blue
was
Jays,
awful.
which you know what, new team and everything, like first start with a new team. I think Kyle knows a little bit about what it's like being part of a new team, huh? That's the case this year. How do you think? What is your approach? Heading into your first game with a new team.
I mean, I'm not one when it comes to, like, I don't know, personally baseball, like I don't think I'll feel the pressure. Like I won't try and go like above and beyond and like go like full try hard mode. I'll just go in there being myself, and hopefully that'll do the job. Like
Yeah,
That's the approach you need, I think. And
yeah,
that's
like same mindset, right? As always.
yeah, like if they sign you to a big contract, you think like again, it's pressure because you feel like even though you're doing what you've done your whole life, now it's like there's a bit of an expectation that comes with it. And yeah, I guess it's important to just block all that out and keep being yourself and playing your game, which
Yep.
I know it's easier to do that in men's league than it is in major leagues with everyone watching, but it's the same idea though.
Yeah, for sure.
So
No, absolutely, you're absolutely right.
yeah, and that's it. And we have we have Kiermaier, we have Belt, we have Varsho, all left-handed bats here playing for a new team. So
And Varsho's been great so far.
yeah, he
Proven
has.
himself so far.
So yeah, you know what? At the end of the day, like they're just like us, getting used to playing for a new team. It's all about having a good start, and yeah, I think you know all about that at least, and yeah, hopefully it works out well for us. We're sure hoping so. Plenty of new names on our team, maybe.
Yeah, like the whole team's really brand new.
So
Yeah.
yeah, lots of new faces. Hopefully it goes just as well for us as it does for the Blue Jays, and hopefully it keeps going well for them. Because what a roller coaster ride it was this week, huh? Like obviously, like I said, the pitching, like we end up going 1-3, our starters, which this rotation was supposed to be so good. They're not looking great. And then our hitting, you know, like first time ever they go the whole opening series without hitting a home run. That's not the Blue Jays that we know, right? Like the last 10 years, even when they've been bad, the Blue Jays have always been a big home run team. That's one thing we always had. I know they have a big park there in KC, and
Yeah.
it was windy for most of those games, so that didn't help. But yeah, it just seems so out of character, not hitting a home run for all those games.
That's like what Dan Schoen was saying. Most of those hits the Jays had in the last game, if not two, would have been home runs in any other ballpark.
Yeah,
Kansas City's ballpark is a lot deeper than Rogers Center. So if you see that game in Rogers Center, most of their hits would have been out.
yeah. And you know what? Like, it's good to see. Obviously, the bats started slow, but they've been coming around the last few games, huh? They've been, you know, we've had Vlad's hit a home run now, two
Chapman.
home runs. Bichette has. I saw BGO hit his first home run yesterday. Love to see it from him. And yeah, but you know what? Chapman, the one guy,
Hot streak.
yeah, even at those first few games when the bats weren't there, Chapman's been on fire all season.
What do you
Your
think about
boy,
that,
you
Kyle?
called it.
Yeah, what are your takes on Chapman so far?
He's been the only one who's produced from day one to what game are we at now? 7?
I don't. Yeah, we
Yeah.
played 7.
And tonight? Yeah, he's been the only one that's been consistent. We saw Springer go 5 for 6 in the first game.
Yeah.
I thought great for my fantasy purposes.
Yeah.
But that ended up being kind of a fluke. That was just a 1-game thing. But yeah, Chapman's been the only consistent guy, really. I mean, we know Bichette puts contact to the ball every at bat.
Yeah.
And that's what we need from him this season, a nice consistent year from Bichette, but hopefully it works for him too.
And same mindset for Bichette with 2 strikes. Like he's a great 2-strike hitter, right?
Yeah.
Like it's always good to have that mindset the way he's on the field too, right?
Yeah, you see him not pull up his leg. I think he has that front leg.
It's more like a toe tap, right?
Yeah, he doesn't. He's more upper body when it comes to his 2 strikes. Pretty amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, like we said, the bats started kind of cold. They're coming around now, but Chapman, he's hitting the cleanup spot a couple times. I know they've tried a few different batting orders, like we expected. You know, with some new players, it'll take some time to figure out where they fit best. But for now, I think Chapman hitting in the cleanup spot is good. Don't you think? Even third, has he hit third yet this year?
I don't know about third, but enough for sure.
I haven't actually watched all the games this week, funny enough, just because they've been at weird times and stuff. But yeah, like I know Chapman's moved around a bit and he's hit cleanup a couple times. So
well, let me just say this: Chapman stays hot hitting. Might see him lead
Yeah.
off, like
I
like
agree.
last year with Schneider putting him in the lead off. What do you think about that, Kyle?
Yeah, it would be a change for sure. I wouldn't mind it, but then my question is, where do you put Springer?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's
Maybe a DH spot. I don't know.
well, I mean, it's more of where you put him in the batting order.
Yeah,
So
true.
he could go second. He could go cleanup maybe. I know his first year with the Blue Jays when he was injured a lot. They tried some different combinations with the top 4 there, but yeah, Springer could always move down, and then you know they've got a lot of options in this lineup. They can do that, and also not to mention like they've had Varsho hitting cleanup a couple times. I remember we were questioning that when Belt was hitting 6th. I think the reason behind that is Belt didn't get a lot of reps in spring training. I don't know if he was injured or
I heard that as
they
well.
were giving him rest or whatever, but
Yeah.
I think the intention is that he will be hitting cleanup for the most part later on. They just wanted to start him 6th until he kind of gets going. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see too, who ends up, or if they end up sticking with one person in that cleanup role, or if it ends up rotating depending on how everyone's hitting.
So
Yeah, exactly.
going into this weekend, we've got 3 lefties pitching for the Angels. obviously we've added a lot of lefties this year, so
Doesn't mean we can't load up on righties.
exactly, especially
Yeah.
with that waiver claim on Luplo.
I was gonna
Yeah.
mention that. Yeah, go ahead.
You guys think Nathan Lucas is sent down? Is going to be sent down. He hasn't been given much of a chance.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
I think it's probably better for him to play in the minors. That being said, like the 26th spot on a roster, baseball rosters were 25 people for so many years. Like, I don't really know why we need 26 guys, considering that the 26th guy, that's all they do. I guess probably the best thing, just add another relief pitcher because you can never get enough.
Yeah.
I know.
Back to Luplo, like I heard, like he crushes lefties when on the mound, right? Like he's just an excellent hitter when it comes to lefties. So that's like it's a good bat to have, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But so speaking of lefties, remember that starting lineup that I put out a couple weeks ago as an option for lefties? I think obviously we have enough lefty bats now that one of them still needs to stay in the lineup. So whether it's Belt has experience playing outfield, so I say put Belt in left field or put Varsho in left field. One of those two guys will stay in the lineup, but they'll be the only lefty. You DH Kirk, Jansen can catch.
Yeah.
And then you put Varsho or Belt, one of them in left field. You put Merrifield in right field, or vice versa. You put Merrifield in left field, whatever. You put Espinal at second, and then that way, you just load up on righties. And even though we have more lefties, we still have enough power. We have enough depth with right-handed hitters that we can still have a pretty scary right-handed loaded lineup against lefty pitching.
Any thoughts on that, Kyle?
Well, I got a question for you guys now.
Go ahead.
We added Belt, Varsho, and then obviously Nathan Lucas made the
Kiermaier.
Yeah, and Kiermaier as well. But Lucas made the roster as another lefty out of spring training. You guys think it was almost too many lefties that we added, going from all right, basically?
I don't think it's too many. It's more of just a shock, right? Because it's changing the identity of the team. Like, like it's not like they're rebuilding. Like we're a good team that's taking a bigger step up. But it's like they really changed the identity over the off season. So more than anything, I feel like, like maybe, and that's part of why they struggled the first few games. Maybe it's a team trying to figure out like who they are, what their identity is, because a lot of the players there from last year, like, the same momentum, the same culture, this right-handed loaded lineup with all these young guys that like to have fun. Now we've added some more veterans, some more lefties, and it's like, they have to kind of figure out how they mix and what kind of offense they really are.
Yeah.
Because those first few games, it looked like every run they scored, they had to scratch out. They weren't hitting home runs. It's good to get a little bit more of that. But that being said, like, changing the whole dynamic of the lineup is it can be hard to adjust to. So hopefully we see a little bit more of that, but we also keep seeing the home runs like we have the last few years.
Yeah, and I think with all the lefties, like for example, like you said, bring all the lefty bats in. I'm all for it if they're on like a hot streak, but if some players are not and some are, then you can start to tweak the lineup a bit.
And we have the depth we can do that. Like look at second, for example, Barry or BGO, Merrifield, and Espinal. Like whoever's hitting is going to be in that lineup. Against lefties, no need for BGO to play. Against righties, Espinal's probably not going to play much. So
yeah, but I think like if you have so many lefties, if they're hitting great, keep them in.
Yeah, and again, that goes for everyone too, at any position, and that's why having the depth and having these guys that can play multiple positions, you can find places for them in the lineup when you want to keep them in. So
yeah,
I think going forward, there's a lot of options we can do with this team, and I think that having those extra lefty options is definitely a useful tool.
Advantage for sure.
I think that part of the reason why they claimed Luplo off of waivers was the fact that maybe management realized, okay, Lucas, we just brought him in kind of as a 26 player, and he was good in spring training, but we might have one too many lefties in the outfield. Like you got Lucas, you got Kiermaier.
You need a righty for sure, not two or more, right?
Yeah.
I completely understand. I completely understand playing one or two lefties if you need to, out of your 9 players against a left-handed starter who's gonna let's say five innings minimum usually, right? But yeah, for them having to maybe put a guy out in his abnormal position, I like the pickup of Luplo.
Yeah, me
Okay,
too.
we'll see how he fits in these next few games, if you're going to stick with them or
Yeah.
what's going to happen there.
I just wanted to say something about Luplo. If you see him going on a hot streak, great pickup. But if he's not doing so well, do you think they get rid of him or send him down? What do
They'll
you
get
think?
rid of them. Like, it's a low risk, high reward acquisition.
What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, like Cameron said, it's low risk, high reward. Kind of like a PTO for him right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I don't know when they picked him up, but I had no idea that they even picked him up on waivers until you guys just mentioned it a few
I
minutes
think it
ago.
was yesterday or the day before, wasn't it, Kyle?
I'm just
Something like that.
Yeah.
1 day ago.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, exactly.
He
Well,
was
anyway,
transferred.
on a different note, I just wanted to mention it's kind of funny with this team, like how last week we were saying, like it's so important that they got off to a good start, no drama like we've had the last few years. We're gonna win the first series. We're gonna get off to a hot start, and we're just never gonna look back. We're gonna be a dominant team from start to finish.
That's what
And then they go 1-3,
Yeah.
and it's like, wow, that didn't happen at all. But it's great in baseball how things can change so quickly. Like when you're playing every day. It was just a few years ago or a few days ago. We were 1-3, and our pitchers were all struggling. Our bats weren't hot. We were 1-3. The sky was falling, and then all of a sudden, it's like it comes down to Kikuchi. He has a good start. We win.
Much needed too.
Okay, 2-3, and then Manoa has a great bounce back outing, like we knew that he would. It's even though we knew that he would, it's still reassuring to know that maybe that first outing was just a fluke. Okay, now we're 3-3. Vlad gets going, hits a couple home runs, and then Gosman with a great start. Now, just like that, in the blink of an eye, we're above 500.
Yeah, what's the record now? 4-3.
Yeah. So it's great to see, and it's like I said, this series in LA is important because let's not look back. Like we're above 500 now. I don't want to see the 500 mark for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
We need to put some distance between us and 500.
So with versing LA, you got Ohtani and Trout. If Ohtani pitches in that rotation that game in these games against them, right? Do you think the Jays will be okay, or do you think they're going to struggle? And do you think Trout's going to have a good series, Kyle, or what do you think?
Well, as of right now, it looks like we're going up against 3 lefties.
Okay, I didn't know the matchup.
So we don't have to worry about Ohtani. It looks like, which is
that's good.
It's a relief.
Yeah, really.
Yep.
But I think they're going to. I know we keep talking about Luplo, but he'll probably get called up today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think, Cameron?
Yeah, it's definitely an option. And having all the deep pool of righties in the lineup, like we were saying, I think is the way to go.
Yeah, for sure.
So Kiermaier will probably get a couple of games off, maybe pinch hit, maybe come in defensively. BGO will probably be pinch hitting too. And then otherwise I don't really see the need for those guys to be in the starting lineup.
What do you guys think of their playmaking skills the last couple of games? Like, for example, Varsho throwing it home and then hitting the
and that was a clutch
properly,
play in that game,
right? Like
Kikuchi gave up the first run, right, and they were down 1-0, so it looked like it could be a bad outing. And then Varsho makes that play to save the run, and it was a momentum shifter.
Not only that, he's playing pretty smart baseball. Like, don't just throw it home. He's throwing to the cutoff man, and hitting his target. What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, he's definitely got a strong arm for sure. Pretty amazing coming from a catcher, which obviously you're gonna think strong arm, but for him to be able to throw like that, it's pretty amazing. And if we needed him to catch ever, he could be the third catcher. He's
That's a great option, right?
So it's like pinch hit Kirk when he's not playing, right? Like that garbage where they're like, oh, we can't pinch hit our catcher because he needs to stay on the bench if our starting catcher gets injured. It's like, forget about all that. Just he's a good bat. If you need him to pinch hit, let him pinch hit. And then if Jansen gets injured and someone needs to catch, then yes, Varsho can move to catcher and then someone else will take over in left field. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's good. And Varsho, John Schneider said it himself that, like Blue Jays fans, we don't know much about him, but we're going to love him. And he's definitely a good player, even if his batting average, isn't great. His speed, his defense, his ability to get on base without necessarily getting a hit. We saw like the bunts and stuff like that. And then not to mention he has some power. So when he gets hot, I think he'll be a little bit like Grichuk, but probably a better version of Grichuk.
And the fans are going to love him too. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Fans will love him, I think, once he comes to Rogers Center, right?
Yeah.
Tonight we got Chris Bassett going up against
Ooh.
Sandoval. Obviously, we know Bassett last game did not produce.
Bounce back.
A little upsetting for his first game as a Blue Jay. Do we
Big
see
money,
a
man.
turn around tonight? Do we see him turn around and have a 6 inning start, giving up a couple runs?
Yeah, that would be great to see from him.
Yeah, like I feel like because he's a veteran pitcher, right? Like he doesn't take that first game like in a bad way. He's like, okay, let's move on from it and let's make sure I can go 6, 7 innings with a good start, right?
Yeah. And you know what? Speaking of being back in Rogers Center, I should mention, I mean, it's crazy what a long road trip we're starting the season with, but next week, back in Rogers Center with the new renos, and we'll be at the game on Saturday. So
Yeah.
it'll be great to be part of that and, taking in the first game of the year, first of many. But yeah, definitely looking forward to going to Rogers Center and checking out the new renos and hopefully being there for a good game, which I mean, it's disappointing that ticket prices aren't any lower considering how fast all the games are now.
Yeah.
And that's part of why I haven't gotten to watch much this week. Like, these games are so fast, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's
Like,
crazy with all the
I
new
don't like
rules.
it.
Yeah.
Stupid pitch clock. What do you like the pitch clock, Kyle? I think I hate it.
No, I don't like it. Why are you trying to change up the game?
Yeah,
It's been set in stone for so long. Why change
like,
it,
I
right?
know they need to get more people to view it, but there's other ways they can speed up the game without doing that. And it's like, at the end of the day, like, if you don't have the patience for baseball, then that's your problem. Like, screw you.
I feel like this year could be a test trial, though. I feel
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the clock might not for sure like stay just because
Yeah.
they implemented it for this year.
At least for the late innings, right? Like, do it for the first 6 innings, and then when the game is on the line, like, you don't like the pitcher needs to be able to think and decide what pitch they're going to throw. Or if there's a guy leading off just a little bit too far, he needs to be able to throw it to the base a couple times without worrying about running out of time. Like, yeah, whoever's idea this was can kiss my Anthony Bass.
Yeah. What do you guys think about the shift? I know we've talked about it
Yeah.
before, Kyle. What do you think of the shift, like banning?
That one doesn't really bother me that much.
I like it. Yeah,
I like it too.
It brings the game back to its roots. There's been a bunch of times this year you see a grounder right up the middle, and I just assume somebody's gonna get it because they'll have a shift on.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, that's like the old days. You hit it up the middle and it's a hit.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
forgot that, like, 10 years ago, if you hit a grounder up the middle, it was like an automatic hit. Just because anyone who can hit the ball up the middle these days, there's always someone shifted there, but not anymore.
Yeah.
With regards to that, they're not looking at as much like video and where guys hit it and this anymore because it's like you got to stay in your same position, right?
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
they're still shifting, right? Like, there's righty lefty shifts and all that. It's just like there's no third baseman moving over to right field or any of that stuff. But yeah, it's definitely good. And yeah, we'll see. We'll be back here in a week, and we'll see how actually, I don't know, next week we're going to be at the game, so we'll see what day we'll record it on. But it'll be interesting to see where we're at in a week from now, and with regards to the record and with regards to how the guys are playing.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's going to be pretty important for the guys to keep that same mindset, play hard, win games, have fun, and be serious.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, I think for now we've covered off just about everything new with the Blue Jays that we can.
Yeah.
You see, I'm wearing my Bison's jersey. It's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Thought I'd show that off just for the fun of it.
Very nice.
Funny enough, I went to a Bison's game in 2019, and I was just thinking about it. That's the last time that I left Canada. I got a new passport in 2018. Didn't know that there was going to be a pandemic, but I just realized my passport's about to expire, and in those 5 years, I used it once to go to Buffalo for a Bison's game.
Yeah.
But hey, VGO and Bichette were playing, and Sean Reed Foley was pitching, so it was
That
worth
guy.
seeing
I
it.
remember that name.
I think Reese McGuire was catching.
Mm.
So we should go to a Bison's game sometime.
Reese
for in the
McGuire,
area.
yeah. Florida's favorite.
Yeah, the carjacker.
Yeah.
Florida's favorite.
Well, gotta love Reese McGuire.
Yeah, exactly.
Lefty catcher option that we don't have anymore, but that's okay because we've got enough other lefties.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, I think that's about it for the Blue Jays. There's some other things we wanted to talk about though. We haven't mentioned at all is the Raptors, which I know their playoffs are about to start. They've got a couple games left. What do you guys think of this play-in series? Do you like it or do you hate it?
Oh, I'll go first. Yeah, so I like it in a way, but like at the same time, like if you have a great team that's doing terrible, right?
Yeah,
And then I mean, like if you have a team that's doing terrible and they make the play in, like I don't agree with that. But if you have a great team that's not in a playoff spot and they make the play in and they go on a crazy run and say win the championship, and like I'm all for it, right? But like also I like the original like format before they
yeah.
added
I
the
just I
play
just
in.
think it's a big money grab. Like I don't understand why they need like to let more teams in the playoffs, right? Like
Yeah,
there's already they play 82 games in the regular season. If you didn't prove yourself in 82 games, like
yeah,
why do
exactly.
10 out of the 15 teams get a chance to win? It's like does the regular season not mean anything anymore?
What do you think, Kyle?
Okay, so I want to just confirm this with you guys. Okay, so it's 7-10, right?
Yeah.
Uh, 9 plays at home against 10
Okay.
for one game. If they
Yeah, I
win,
think
Yeah.
wins
yeah.
that, moves on to play 8 at home, or 8 will be at home to the winner of 9 against 10, right?
I
Yeah, I
think
believe
that's
so.
how it is,
I
yeah.
just know like
And
it's
then
basically the 7 and 8 teams need to win once to stay to get in the playoffs, whereas the 9 and 10 teams, like the odds are against them the way that the format is. I
Yeah.
haven't really looked into it in too much detail though. I just know, yeah, for the Raptors it'll likely be the 9 seed, but
Well, they'll
as,
be at home, right?
yeah, and
Yeah.
like yeah, like of course I'll watch and cheer for them, but to me it's like okay, if you come ninth, you don't really deserve a chance to get in the playoffs because then, and also with the way the format is 1 through 8, and like upsets don't really happen at that of that magnitude in the NBA. Like all this play in is just so that you can get swept by the first or second seed.
Yeah. What do
yeah,
you
go play the Bucks in the first round and lose in
Yeah,
4 games.
like it's all just a money grab. They're looking to add more games, and for some reason, like the younger generation just likes playoffs. Like it's all about the playoffs, not the regular season. So they want to make
Yeah.
the playoffs longer. But yeah, it's like what's the point really in having such a long season if when all is said and done, everybody makes the playoffs anyway. And in baseball, like that's what was so great about it. Only the truly best teams make the playoffs. Only the teams that deserve to be there. But now they've expanded that to 12 teams. So I'm sure they're just going to keep expanding it until there's the same number of teams as other sports. But yeah, hopefully it stays the same as it is now, though.
Yeah.
It's like every other league, right? Like
Yeah,
remember when we were younger and we'd see in the Eastern Conference, let's say 1 versus 8, 2-7, 3-6, 4-5. Now you don't see that. You see like wild card and
yeah.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
NHL playoff format is so stupid. Like if they want to make it divisional, then just do it divisional. Get rid of the
Yeah.
wild card. Because then it's like you have the Atlantic Division finals, but there's a team from the Metropolitan Division in it. It doesn't even make sense. And the division alignment in the NHL, since they redid it, doesn't make sense either. That Toronto's in the same division as the Florida teams, but not New York or Pittsburgh.
Hmm.
So that's weird. But no, I love the old NHL format. Like it was 1 through 8, but the 3 division winners clinched the top 3 seeds. So it's like the divisions did mean something, but
Yeah.
not to the same extent. Well, yeah, anyway, it looks like we're starting to get a little short on time here.
Yeah.
A couple other things I wanted to mention. Obviously, I've had a busy week, a few games. Uh, Obviously, last Saturday I was at the Colts game, which they won convincingly again. Clark looked as good as ever. They took a 2-0 series lead, but you know what? Some of the guys, like Clark especially, he needs to clean it up a little bit with his discipline because
Yeah.
he's taking a lot of penalties and weird ones like embellishment, taunting, stuff like that.
Yeah.
He got suspended for game 4 for a play he made in game 3. Bottom line, the Colts win those first 2 games so convincingly, and then they actually lose the next 2 in Hamilton, and the series is tied. Last night they had a fantastic game back in Barrie. We were watching it,
Yeah, exactly.
and then yeah, they end up winning, taking the 3-2 series lead. So that's a hell of a series. Looking forward to how that's going to end.
Yeah.
And then also we've got the Women's World Hockey Championships on right now. I know Canada's playing Czechia, Czech Republic tonight.
Very cool.
So yeah, I was like we talked about before, last Sunday there was a game at the Aurora Community Center, an exhibition game between Switzerland and Sweden. That was pretty fun to be there for that. It's kind of fun. Like Switzerland is supposed to be the much better team. They're the 4th ranked in the world.
Yeah.
That being said, they're not Canada or USA, so they're not as good. But they're bottom line. Like I expected Switzerland to be the team kind of carrying the play, but Sweden ended up winning 1-0.
Yeah.
Like it was kind of like it was like what you'd expect from a men's game between those two teams, where like Sweden was the one that looked like they had more skill and were the better team, but Switzerland had like they had no offense. They're all just defense, shutting them down, putting them to sleep. Usually in men's hockey, that's what Switzerland would beat a team like Sweden by playing like that, not necessarily by being better. But yeah, it's just not what I expected because I expected Switzerland to be the team kind of carrying the play, but
Yeah.
good for Sweden to win that game in front of the Aurora crowd, and then
Yeah.
and then the actual tournament in Brampton in the Flower City. I went to the game Canada against Switzerland, so I got to see Switzerland again on Wednesday night, and yeah, pretty fun to be a part of that. You know, we saw Spooner score. You know,
Yeah.
she just had a baby a couple months ago, and now she's playing in the World Championships.
Good for her though. Good for her.
Yeah,
You know, like,
lighting it up, lighting the lamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, Poulin was there, playing very well. You know, Johnston, Fillier, all the big names are there for Canada. So hopefully that ends up going well. It was a weird, everything about it. The game was weird with regards to our seats. So we thought we were going to be sitting high up. We get to our seat, they're in like the third row. Like this isn't what we paid for. Like how did we get this? But the thing is, we were behind the Swiss bench, so we actually the view was terrible. Like you couldn't even see.
yeah, you're telling me that
Yeah, you
yesterday.
couldn't even
Yeah.
see like half the ring. You had to look at the jumbotron. But luckily though, we were in the end that Canada was shooting at twice, so it was down at that end. So yeah. Anyway, that's gonna be a pretty good tournament. Hopefully, it's gonna come down to Canada and USA, obviously, but
Yeah.
definitely looking forward to that in the next couple weeks. So, and anything else you guys wanted to talk about before we end it here?
I've covered everything I want to talk about. How about you, Kyle?
Yeah, no, I think that's everything. Just big series upcoming for the Jays. Angels are a good team. We know the games are going to be close. 3 lefties. It'll be interesting series.
Yeah, for sure.
And it'll be interesting to see, you know, with every season is a new opportunity, and maybe for the Angels, this is the year with, you know, maybe the two best players in the world that they finally actually do something.
Yeah, exactly.
Trout's made the playoffs once and got swept, right?
Yeah, exactly.
In 14. So
Well, on that note,
yeah, I think we're just about finished here. So
thanks again, Kyle, for joining.
yeah,
Anytime, guys. Thanks for having me.
yeah, anytime. We'll do this again for sure. We'll keep everyone updated on how the Cardinals are doing in the NMBL this year, and we'll keep everyone updated on our fantasy teams too. I know we mentioned it a bit. This guy is actually the commissioner of our league that we were talking about. So yeah, I think are we all losing this week?
I think so.
I'm
That's
not
it's week.
losing. I'm getting killed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
week one of many, but
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes. So we'll keep everyone updated. And I don't know what day this is going to be posted, but we're recording on Friday, Good Friday, Easter weekend. And yeah, we'll be back here next weekend, most likely.
Okay. Thanks again, Kyle.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys.
sure to have you.
Always a pleasure.
Yep. Well, with that, I guess we'll be back here next week.